Hello everybody. So I just want to come back in this lecture on the previous lecture on stone, paper, scissors, and I would like to discuss a bit the case of the result. So you will see this is a very small lecture, but it can help you in some situation. The idea is to think a bit about results. What is a result at the end of the day? And what do we do with them? So if you remember, in the previous lecture, we took a stone and we were fighting a stone against a paper, and it returned papers. And we had this kinds of design where we had one class, one abstract class, and then we were using double dispatch, and each classes define a versus method, and they all define different methods to handle the case. And it was working well, and it was fun. This is the context. Now, the question was for me, what should be the result of versus? So when I do paper new versus stone new, what is the... We said, oh yes, we return papers. Why not? But what else? Could we return something else? And what are the consequences of those choices? So we could return numbers, you know? We could have said, oh, easy, I will return -1 when it fails, and 0 when there is a draw, and 1 when there is a success. Like that, it's easier to sum up. Well, except that it is not really good, because what should I return when... Because I should also return -1 when paper is the argument. So what does it mean to be -1? In fact, if I do paper new versus a stone, it should return the same number because it's the same case. So we decided to return symbols, because like that in the slide you could really follow the lecture. But what it means that if I want to do something with the result of the computation, then I have to do something like that. Player versus another player equals draw. If true, then I will do something. And this means that everywhere we are using versus, we have somehow to interpret this. Imagine that you want to count how many times the guy is winning. We will have to count and have a counter. And then we were thinking, okay, maybe we could do something else. We could also have an API where we will pass blocks. We said, okay, you know, when I do the battle, I will say on draw, you should increment draw. On receiver, the game should increment the receiver, and things like that. You know, we could implement it like that, and we could say, okay, this is easy. We can do a value here and things like that on play against stone. On play against stone, for example, we said, okay, this is a paper that play against a stone, so the winner, we do something. Except that it does not look really nice, because you don't want to have 4 arguments like that, and this is not really satisfactory either from that perspective. So I'm not fond of this solution. I'm not fond on the other solution. So in fact, I'm not fond of any solution from that perspective. But what we could also do, we could say, oh, maybe we should have a result handler. This is an object that will know how to do things. And I prefer, in fact, this solution. So here I could say, oh, paper new versus paper new, and I give you a result handler. This is a guy that knows how to do something. And in the paper play against stone, for example, I know that the paper is winning, so I would say, oh, a result. Please configure yourself so that you know that the paper has won. And to me, this solution feels more like a do not ask, tell. You know, I'm saying to the result handler, please do something. And like that, I'm not forced to ask myself what should I do and things like that. And from that perspective, we could have different result handlers. We could have one that just accumulate result, and others that do statistics or things like that. So what I suggest is that implement the stone, paper, scissors and play with those kinds of things. Try to educate your taste on design and see what are the possibilities. Now, what I learned doing this exercise is that we should also often focus on the client. So this means that we design something, but we should not design it in the air. We should design it because we have a scenario and that we have a user. And the way the user uses us will have an impact on the design. And in general, you don't have a design that will solve all the solutions. You have one design that solves a given interaction with a client of your program. And maybe you will have another client, and then you will have to adapt your design to this new client. And this is what I learned while doing this exercise. So I really encourage you to do that. So if we step back, from my perspective, symbols were looking better than returning numbers, but there are some other cases where numbers can be better. So creating result handler can be heavy, but this can be interesting. So what is interesting is that really the context and the scenario should tell you where you want to invest and what is worth from the reuse perspective. You know, in general, you should not also do just good design for good design, but for good design for a reason.